everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Have you ever sat on your couch watching the massive Olympic Games and wondered, how did this whole thing actually start? And maybe more importantly, who decides which sports make the cut and which ones get left behind? Well, today we're going to look closely at the really fascinating history of the Olympic Games. We'll uncover how they grew, how the sports change over time, and the really strict rules behind all those changes. Let's get right into it.
Picture this. You go back in time to the year 1896. There were just 13 countries participating, and athletes competed in only 9 sports. Not too crazy, right? Now compare that to the 2012 Summer Games in London. By then, the Olympics had become a colossal global event. We are talking about athletes from 204 different countries and territories, all competing in 26 different sports. That is just a massive amount of growth, and it completely changed the face of the Games.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be exploring this amazing evolution step by step. 1. The first modern games. 2. Sports come and go. 3. Summer and winter splits. 4. The Rulemakers. And 5. The changing Olympics. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the first modern games. If we travel back to the city of Athens in 1896, those very first modern Olympic Games were actually incredibly small. We had athletes from only 13 countries. They competed in just 43 events, and those events were spread across only 9 sports. That included things like track and field, swimming, cycling, fencing, gymnastics, shooting, tennis, weightlifting, and wrestling. Compared to the hundreds of events we watch today, this was a very humble beginning. But here is something amazing. Out of all the modern sports we have today, only 5 core sports have continuously been in every single Summer Olympic Games: track and field, swimming, fencing, cycling, and gymnastics. Now, continuously simply means without stopping or taking a break. From 1896 all the way to today, these 5 sports have always been there, providing a really solid foundation for the Summer Games.
Moving on to part 2, sports come and go.
To really understand how the Olympics work, we need to learn a key vocabulary word: eliminate. To eliminate simply means to remove something or take it away completely. You see, the Olympics do not just keep adding new games forever. They regularly add new sports, sure, but they also eliminate various sports over time. It is a constant balancing act. A perfect example of this cycle is tennis. Tennis was actually played at the very first modern games in 1896. But then it was eliminated. It was totally removed from the games in 1924. Imagine that. A sport as popular as tennis, completely gone from the Olympics. And it wasn't until 1988 that tennis finally returned to the Games. And we see this exact same cycle happening today, too. After the London 2012 Olympics, baseball and softball were removed. They were eliminated. But the Olympics needed to fill that space, right? So they were replaced by golf and rugby for the 2016 Games. This just goes to show that the lineup of Olympic sports is never permanently locked in place. It is always shifting around. That brings us to part 3, the summer and winter split. Believe it or not, the Winter Games didn't always exist. Take figure skating, for example. It is a sport played entirely on ice, but it was actually a summer event in the 1908 and 1920 Games. Can you imagine watching ice skating during the Summer Olympics? It wasn't until a major decision was made in 1921 that the Olympic Committee officially separated the ice and snow sports into their very own Winter Games. And this brings us to another great word: alternate. To alternate means to take turns, one after the other. At first, the Summer and Winter Games were held in the exact same year, every 4 years. But now, they alternate. This means they take turns, happening 2 years apart. So you get a Summer Olympics, wait 2 years, get a Winter Olympics, wait 2 years, and then back to summer. Because there are simply fewer sports in the world that involve ice and snow, the Winter Games are naturally a bit smaller than the Summer Games. For instance, at the Vancouver Winter Olympics in 2010, there were 82 nations bringing 2,566 competitors to take part in 84 events. It is still a massive, incredible global event, just a little more focused than the summer version. Let's look at part 4, the Rulemakers. So, who actually has the power to make these huge changes? Well, that job belongs to a specific group called the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC for short. It is the IOC's official job to decide which sports to add and which sports to eliminate from the Olympic Games. And they don't just guess what will be fun. They have some very strict rules. The biggest rule is that a sport must be incredibly popular to even be considered. Before a new sport can be added to the Olympics, it must be popular in at least 50 different countries. That proves the sport has a truly global reach. But wait, there's more. On top of that 50-country rule, there is another strict requirement. The sport must be popular across at least 3 different continents. The IOC wants to make absolutely sure a sport isn't just popular in one specific corner of the world before they let it into the Olympic Games. But here's the catch. Even if a sport meets all those strict rules, it is not a guaranteed win. Why? Because the IOC is actually a bit afraid there will be too many sports in the Olympics. They don't want the games to become too huge and impossible to manage. Because of this fear, the IOC refuses to add new sports without eliminating older ones. It is a strict one-in, one-out system.
Finally, we arrive at Part 5, the changing Olympics. Throughout this explainer, we have talked a lot about physical sports. But check this out. From 1912 to 1948, artistic events were actually part of the Olympic Games. Yep, there were actual Olympic contests where people could win medals for architecture, music, literature, and even painting. So the main takeaway I want you to remember from this whole explainer is this. The Olympic Games today are very, very different from the Games in 1896. And all these continuous differences over the years really reflect how our definition of sports and what is popular are always changing. As the world changes, the Olympics change right along with it. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating debate. Today, while many people oppose the idea, some people strongly believe that artistic events and mental games like chess should actually be added back into the Olympics. So, what do you think? Should painting and chess be Olympic sports today? It is a really great question to think about the next time you turn on the TV to watch the games. Thanks for joining me on this explainer and keep learning.